What's up, guys? This is Ninja on the Ninja, and I wanted to post a video today. And it's basically a response. I was watching a bit, and I stopped. I did. It's by the way, it's to the progressive perspective. That's the person who uploaded this video. But I left two comments basically. One, I said, "Chill on the drugs, sniff. I take them for medical reasons. You're abusing them. Chill." That's all I'm gonna say about that. And then I posted I'm going to respond to this video with a video. I'm going to respond to this with a video. And that's what this is saying. So it's basically Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he's talking to Patrick Bet David basically. And Patrick Bet David, I've always felt was kind of an idiot. I would say he's like level 3. And what's funny is Neil deGrasse Tyson is a brilliant person or whatever, but I think he's only level 5, basically, because I think he's too old, and he's more intelligent. I'm sorry, educated, but he's trying to use his education as intelligence. But because I am so intelligent, I was able to match his education, basically in theory, and not literally. Like I'm able to theorize his uh, math and visualize what he's saying, but I'm able to say he's wrong in some things. Some things like what this video is about is very basic and primitive, and a level 5 like him could talk about this, and it's fine, basically. And if you're interested in my leveling, follow me. But if not, it's whatever. Don't worry about it. Anyways, yeah, that's it. So go ahead.
We don't even know if the vaccine worked or not at the time.
Yes, that's what the trials are, dude. That's why these trials. What are you missing data out there?
Neil deGrasse Tyson joined Patrick Bet David on his program to talk about the vaccine and the vaccine mandate. Patrick Bet David's coming at it from a sort of
Listen to him.
Vaccine mandate. Patrick Bet David's coming at it from a sort of America's the country of the free. They shouldn't have made us take a vaccine. It wasn't tested enough. And Neil deGrasse Tyson,
it wasn't tested enough.
Made us take a vaccine. It wasn't tested enough. And Neil deGrasse Tyson comes at it from the perspective of a scientist. He's not a virologist, right? He's an astrophysicist. But I thought this was, and this is a year old, right? This is from a year ago. But I think one of the things I really like.
But I think, and by the way, this is a year ago, he's saying, and this video is 2 months old. Yeah, 2 months. But it has 1.3 million views. So,
like about it and why I want to share it with you is it's a real. I think one of the things I really like about it and why I want to share it with you is it's a really clear example of
drugs, dude.
Of someone, Neil deGrasse Tyson in this case, speaking rationally about a complicated, complex issue to which there weren't any clear, easy answers, in rebuttal to a conservative viewpoint, Patrick Bet David, who is sort of repeating these assertions that aren't always grounded in the facts and sometimes not even in common sense. So I'm going to try and restrain myself from talking over it too much because I think...
So first off, what you're saying is correct. But next, I want to say what this video talks about is some basic level. Like it's literally level 5 on the scale, or level 4, level 3, or something like that. So you don't need a lot to know what Neil deGrasse Tyson is gonna say. It's just that you can't be stupid like the one on the left. And I was named Patrick Bet David. Basically, you can't be an idiot like he is, and you're making Neil deGrasse Tyson look hella smart, as this person who's an idiot also just said. Oh my God, Neil deGrasse Tyson is so smart because no, it's just because this guy is the negative, and Neil deGrasse Tyson is positive, basic level thinking, and that's what we're seeing is just truth, basically winning an argument. It's not because it's amazing or whatever. It's just truth versus stupidity, basically.
I think Neil deGrasse Tyson does a great job of it himself. Then I want to know what you think in the comments, but let's get into it.
From what we knew at the beginning of COVID to what we know today, what do we know about the vaccine today that we didn't know while we were all testing it in America, taking it? What have we learned now?
What do you mean testing it on America? There were tests before it was released.
9 months is not a long time to test.
No, but it was tested.
Yeah, but 9 months. The average is 30. The average is 5 to 10 years. I mean, 9 months is not enough.
Okay, so you have to say
test.
no. You have to ask. Hold on. It was tested in trials. Okay. By the way, I'm not claiming to be the expert on all this. I read all the same things you have, but I'm a scientist, so I read it as a scientist. Okay. There were trials. That's what the point of phase 1, 2, 3 trials are all about. They are tested enough to get data on how to then advise the larger population. Yes, it was tested. For you to say it wasn't tested is a gap between your awareness and understanding how things work and what actually happened. It was tested. If you want it to be tested on millions of people instead of thousands, you can put in for that. You can say, I don't want this unless it's millions. That's okay.
Totally fine.
So, I mean, just to encapsulate that point, which I think is really good, the first thing Patrick Bet David asserted was it wasn't tested. And Neil deGrasse Tyson said, yes, it was. And then his immediate follow-up, well, it wasn't tested enough, right? And I think this is very common from the right. It's like mistruth. You go, well, that's not accurate. Okay, well, semi-truth.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
But
So the counter argument to that is that you can argue that that's just his way of speaking. He didn't literally mean that it wasn't, but considered to what it normally is or what the standard is, it wasn't. Like, relatively speaking, I'm not clearing him because he very well may try to be pushing an agenda here and trying to actually get people to believe that it wasn't tested at all. All I'm saying is that you can't write it off, as the guy just tried to do. So take that statement back and put mine in there. Like, if you're trying to make a claim that wasn't tested, you can have it and say, yes, it was, and that's a move. But if you're just saying it wasn't relative, it depends. So,
So based on that, do you say, let's keep testing it while the virus keeps spreading? Okay, right. So this is the contest between the information you have available to you at that moment and what's going on outside the lab. People are dying. Hospitals are becoming overloaded. So, do you say we have good data on the 1,000? It's not yet at 1 million, in case you wanted 1 million. Are you going to say, let's still do it on another? Let's wait another 6 months so we get another 1 million in here? Will you do that as a public health professional?
No, I would have said, allow the individual to still have a choice that's okay with 1,000 instead of a few million. Leave the person have the choice, not force him to take it or else you're going to get out of the Marines, and you've been doing this for 14 years. Not force him to take it or else you have to quit your job as a nurse.
There's a public health
force versus
there's a
choice.
There's a public health contract that you have signed implicitly as a citizen of a country where in part we depend on each other for health, our wealth, our security, and the like. And that contract is, in the best scientific evidence available at the time, if you do not get vaccinated, you will put other people in this organization at risk, and that organization does not want to take that risk. So you do not have this job anymore if you decline it. So with any public health decision, there has to be a consequence to you not participating in that social contract. Is it your job? In some cases, it was. But no, we're not going to have the army bust into your home and force a needle into your shoulder. That's not going to happen.
We pretty much did that.
Well, only put your job at risk, yes.
Yeah,
Certain states did.
67% of Americans took the COVID. That's force. That's not a choice. That's a lot of force and coercing and pushing going on. But let me.
Whoa. On what data, right? I took the vaccine. I wasn't reluctant. I didn't want, I don't know. They didn't force 2/3 of America to take it. I don't know what the numbers actually are, but I, as somebody who voluntarily took it, wasn't forced. You can't just say just because 67% of the people took it, that was all coerced.
It depends. What you just said right now, wait until Neil responds. As of yet, you could just be stealing thunder. Hold on, we'll see.
That's the you can't go to the school unless you're vaccinated against mumps.
I think that's bullshit. If you
That's
ask
a different country.
Me. Yeah.
So, basically, you're talking about, I think your opinion there, basically, your interruption, your addition to their discussion was basically like a child at the dinner table trying to partake in the convo, and you're trying to, this is the point, but you need to understand that your point that you're making isn't really valid. Like, it doesn't change anything if it was like you were willing or not. Basically, if you went and you got the shot willingly, like, yeah, I got a tattoo of this, so I got it, yeah. Like, it doesn't matter if you're for it or not. The point is, you're going to get fired if you don't, and that's what they're talking about. So it's not about you individually, willingly. That doesn't, like what you said is literally irrelevant. Like I said, it's like a little kid trying to be relevant in a grown-up's discussion, but you ain't. And what you said doesn't matter. So,
but
okay, what you want a country?
No, America is supposed to be the one that offers the most freedom. That's what America's supposed to be.
Okay, so watch.
So for example, if you use that argument, somebody may say, well, freedom of choice, I want to choose what I want to do with the body. You're right.
What body?
If you want to get an abortion, it's your choice.
Your own body.
If you want to get an abortion, get an abortion. If I want to get the vaccine, I get to choose. So you can't force. If I can't force you to get an abortion, you shouldn't be able to force me to get
because it's not about you. It's about people you interact with, and that's the social contract of public health.
We don't even know if the vaccine worked or not at the time.
Yes, that's what the trials are, dude. That's why these trials. Are you missing data out there?
But let me ask you a question. Are we saying only one type of scientists are right?
No, we're saying that the system in place.
The 16,000 that signed that.
No. The system in place.
I just want to say this is very dumb.
To test vaccines. Yeah. There's an entire system that's in place that with review boards and all of it.
And the average
that's in place. Now you can say what you can say is I have a better idea than all these review boards and all these agencies and the CDC. I have a better idea. Here's what you should do, and that would have made everything better. Okay, you can put forth that idea, but what I'm saying is, in a case where you can contaminate someone else, it's not about you. It's about the collective
You're assuming
health.
You're assuming because somebody can take the vaccine, won't get COVID, which, by the way, I don't need to play the clips for you to see it, where everybody said, hey, if you get it, you're not going to get, if you take the vaccine, you're not going to get a Rachel Maddow, Joe Biden. I can give you Fauci. I can give you, and you've seen these clips before. It's not like you've never seen it before.
Yeah, what happened
They were wrong.
Well, hold on. So, the strain evolved, okay, so that the vaccine that prevented you from catching COVID was tuned to the variant of COVID at the time the vaccine was designed, okay? Over time, there were variants that arose. The vaccine provided partial protection against the new variants, enough to keep you from dying statistically, and to basically keep you out of the hospital, allowing other people with more severe problems to get the hospital attention they required. And so then they would develop a subsequent, the booster and a subsequent mixture of the vaccine. This is what happens every year with a flu shot. They look at how the flu has evolved from one season to the next. And what's fortunate is Australia tends to get the variant of flu before we do, because they get their winter in our summer. And then, so we study that, have a forward projection for it. So these annual flu shots are precisely out of the same idea of how this occurs.
How long have those been tested, though? For years. COVID vaccine hasn't been tested for it. It was something we just came out. But let me.
I don't know what point you're making, other than it was tested. You might
9 months is not enough.
You might prefer. No, it's not a matter of time. It's a matter of how many. Yes, time matters, but the number of people is paramount. That's the most important thing. Okay, you don't test it on 10 people. You test it on as many people as you can. And
sure.
I think it was thousands, but
is it fair to say that some of the side effects we may not know for 5, 10, 15, 20 years? You can't, like, they can't say we know 100% the side effects 10 years from now. How are you going to know that?
Yeah, okay. So, no, of course, we can't know
So
that.
then all I'm saying is...
Watch. We can't know that.
Okay.
But watch. So I have a whole chapter called Risk and Reward in the book, which tries to sensitize people to when they make a decision, what kind of risk are they absorbing relative to what they're rejecting, okay? And we're not very good at that, at probability and statistics or analyzing it. That's why TV commercials trying to sell you a product.
So for the record, when he says we aren't very good at that, he means as a whole. Individually, like, I forgot what the saying was, like, men are smart. A group of men is stupid. Basically, it's something like that. And that's what he means. That's why he's saying what he's saying, basically.
Product don't just show you data. They show a person speaking of the effectiveness of the product. A single person. I lost 50 pounds. The testimony of an individual should be irrelevant to you relative to the entire set of people who have done it. And you want to look at those statistics, but we're not good at that. And advertisers know that. So they show the testimony of an individual, which is hugely potent in a civilization where we don't think statistically, we think about eyewitness testimony on something, and somehow that is raised to a very high level of influence on our decisions. What I'm saying is, you're not your decision point is not, I'm not going to take the virus because 5 years, 10 years, I don't know what effect it's going to have.
Some may, though. Some may not be comfortable with
Let me
that.
finish the sentence. Okay, so you can say, I don't want to take the virus because 5 or 10 years from now, there could be a side effect that we don't see.
Which is a possibility.
Hold on. I'm trying to make a statistical point here. Okay.
But no, Neil deGrasse Tyson, unfortunately, this is why I say he's on like a 5 or a 6, because he's not punching back, basically. He's just taking the hits. Okay, hold on. Okay. No, it's shut up. Let me fucking, okay. All right, hold on. You done? All right. What I'm saying, that's what we need, basically. I wish I could. I do a little bit. I had a lot of shit done. That was bad for me. But anyways, the point is, he needs to stop interrupting. But that's how they operate, basically. And it's kind of like you're operating on the impulsivity and stupidity of humanity. And that's kind of why animals don't have buildings and why animals are not getting smart. Because for some reason, animals never evolved past high school. Basically. They killed off, and the thinkers died off or were killed off from their structure, and the females didn't look at them because those nerds would adapt later, like Elon Musk, for example. If you look at him when he was 20, you're like, ah, ha, 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 what a fucking beta. But you look at him when he's 40, he's the richest man in the world now. Now every female wants him, but he doesn't want every female, because every female is a useless piece of trash, because she couldn't wait that long either. I'm saying it's a waiting game for her. If she waits too long, no one wants her. But if she doesn't wait at all, no one wants her. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very scary road to go down as well. So it depends. 100%. It depends. Right? And everything always depends. And there's always that kind of like, ugh. But I'm trying to bring that up, right? That kind of thought process. That's life, basically. That like, and not, but maybe it depends. It depends. Like, what do you have to offer? Maybe it's not. Maybe I'll let you. It depends what you got. You know what I'm saying? What can you do? What value is there? You know, it depends. Right? Everything will always depend. And this is why I actually hated Neil deGrasse Tyson, because someone asked him if you could break it down to one word, what would you do? And he said, maybe. And I was like, what the fuck? No, it depends. Like, I was so hoping he would be smart enough to know. Like, if you had to break it down to one word, it depends. Like, that's the most perfect effort, because that's what science is. It depends. But yeah, like, this is just some idiot, basically, like a street rat, and his method of survivability is grab the cheese, grab the cheese, grab the cheese. But and Neil deGrasse Tyson is hold off, because if you wait, there's a chance that a bigger cheese will come around, basically. And society's getting good right now, so it's better to wait and play the waiting game than it is to dive in. We don't live in that chaotic kind of world where, like, tomorrow may not come. YOLO's the phrase or whatever, right? That is true. YOLO, you only live once, but you're going to wake up tomorrow. You're going to wake up tomorrow. There are some people where that is not true. Yes, some people, they have heart diseases or whatever. But a lot of you are going to live until you're just too old to live anymore. Right? Your body's going to shut down naturally, normally. And so you want to wait. Right? And that's kind of what it is, basically. That's because life has gotten so fucking good that you want to wait. You want to wait until you find that right one. Make sure they're the right one. You don't want to have a shadow of a doubt, because it may fuck up everything. Who knows? We'll see.
Okay. If you say, I don't want to take the virus because...
That's what those two are, by the way. But Neil deGrasse Tyson is a 5. I consider myself like an 11, basically. But yeah.
It hasn't been tested for 5 years, and there could be some long-term side effect that worries me. Okay? In that same moment, there's the risk factor of you getting COVID.
Sure.
Okay? Unvaccinated. At one point, 87% of everyone dying in the hospital of COVID was unvaccinated. Okay. So your risk choice is, I'm not going to take it because maybe somewhere down the line something will happen and we don't know what that is, or I will risk getting COVID, and if I get COVID, depending on your age and other things, there's a 3% chance of me dying in the hospital. That's your choice. Yes. Yes, but what I see people doing is, that's your choice, depending on your age and other things, there's a 3% chance of me dying in the hospital.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't mean 3%. I think, or you meant 3% chance of not dying or something.
That's your choice. Yes. Yes, but what I see people doing is they focus on one thing, and that's the foundation of their decision, rather than the other.
And this is my point, is humans suck at chance because they're like animals, and all they look for is what's next or what's now, and they have no idea what tomorrow is because they have no intelligence. They have no knowledge of the world. Like, we don't live where people are dying at age 18, but yet people are acting that way, getting relationships at 15, 14, when you don't even know what you're going to do in life yet. You can't have a relationship that early and have it work. There's a chance it could happen. Maybe you both suck and you both give up and you both, live a life together and give up everything together, and you're both failures forever. Or you get lucky and it's like a one, and like one out of, we'll say, 300% or something. Like, it just happens to work, like fresh out of school, and you happen to be in the relationship for 4 years already. Like, the odds of that is very, very small. Most people today, when they're 70 or 60, it's like, or no, we'll say 50. Like, how long has your relationship been? Oh, 20 years. Fuck yes. Fuck it. You know what that means? They got into a relationship at 30 that lasted. That means everything from 15 or 14 until then didn't matter. And they could have used that time for schooling or to end up somewhere fat or something big, so that one day, I'm 30 and it's time for me to settle down and look around, and you have something to offer the world. Instead of just being that hot girl that you're not hot anymore, and so you gotta go bring down somebody else, basically. Like, why are you gonna do that? I'm gonna pretend to be a sweet girl, and blah blah blah, and then I'm gonna stop dressing up. I'm gonna get fat and and you're gonna ruin this dude's life. So,
chance. And what happens if you get COVID? Now you get long COVID. Now you don't have a taste buds for 2 years or whatever it is for long COVID.
Yeah.
You're on a ventilator in the hospital, possibly dying. Like, what? Where is the? So I looked every day, once a week. I looked at the statistics.
Mm-hmm.
How many people are getting COVID? What's the rate? What's the rate of hospitalization? What's the rate of deaths? Where is it by state?
I had to look at it. My board forced me to look. We're in the business that we have to look at.
They should,
Yeah, of course.
because it's data.
Yeah, I agree.
On risk factors.
The risk of people's lives.
Okay,
for sure.
So nothing is ever zero risk. Yeah, there's a risk that you'll grow a third arm in 10 years because the virus mutates within you.
Should the individual not have the right to say, I don't want to take it because that
you don't have the right to contaminate someone else. So if you don't want to get shot,
who says that though? But who says that?
It's a social contract in a modern civilization.
I don't have
public health.
I don't have the right to contaminate someone else. What do you mean? Like, so what do I do? Stay home all day?
Yeah, or to go to the beach. Yeah, you stay away from other old people who
but
you stay away from people who are immune compromised.
So Neil, so for me, I'm asking you because I want to know how you process this as a guy that's well-read, smart.
I process the data, and the data.
We didn't have enough data, though.
No,
we didn't have enough data.
At any given moment,
yeah,
there's data for you to make a decision. At any given moment,
sure,
the data is constantly getting better and better.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. At any given moment, you say to yourself, "Okay, what happens to me if I get COVID? There's a chance I'll get long COVID. I'm certainly out for at least a week, and there's a chance I'll be hospitalized, and there's a chance I'll die.
Mm-hmm.
I take the vaccine. It mitigates this, basically entirely removing the chance that I'm going to die, essentially, at my age group, and I will accept the risk that in 5 years I'll grow a third arm. That's the kind of decision-making that I make. Now, that's just for me, but on top of that, if my workplace says, we don't want you coming in unless you are vaccinated and you might lose your job, I would say, why? Oh, because you could contaminate someone else, introducing a problem in their own health profile. That's the public contract. That's why workers wash their hands in the restaurant bathrooms by law. Yes, they're required to do so because you don't want poop germs in your dinner that they're preparing. Because our evidence showed that that's one of the greatest places you can spread disease is in a restaurant with a central kitchen. So this is the Now, you want a world where you can do whatever you want and have it influence other people.
I'm not saying that.
You kind of are.
I'm not saying that, though.
He kind of is.
He kind
and
of
the
is.
truth of the matter is, COVID was a particularly insidious disease because you could have it for a couple of weeks and be infectious and spreading it around and not have experienced any symptoms yet. A couple of weeks. But I really like this discussion, and I want to know what you think in the comments.
Like, you, Progressive Perspective, shouldn't
At
be.
Spectrum, we believe
You shouldn't be posting things. Like, what was the point of that video? Like, what was the point of any of that? What was the point of any of that? Like, really? Like, what did you bring up? What did you mention? What did you talk about? What did you point out? What did you inform us of? All you did was take all of what was, basically, convert it to words out of your mouth instead of theirs, put in your stupid opinions with alongside theirs, and basically you're trying to get paid for it. Basically, it's literally theft. Like, I showed your whole video, but I'm still talking. You just fucking walked away. There was nothing to take from that. You're just like, oh yeah, oh, crazy. Well, thanks guys, bye. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? What was the point of watching? What are you trying to show us? Exactly. Oh, listen to what he said. I feel that way. Congratulations. Just maybe post a link or put it in your title so people don't watch your fucking video. But you literally, the whole point of you posting what you did, you fucking opiate abusing piece of shit, is literally you're just farming. You are just farming. Again, I'm showing your whole video, which basically is just you showing their whole video, but I'm still talking. You stopped. There is a difference. The people watching my version of the video will learn something and take away something. You are just getting paid advertisements space or whatever. You're getting paid because they watched your video and they heard what you had to say. That was it. Like, there's no point for you to make that video. There's 0 point at all. Like, literally, I could have watched that basically on the source website, taking away exactly what I got from yours, which is nothing new. And my video version, basically, there's plenty to talk about. There is so much for me to say still about your bullshit, your opiates, your abusing, and like, and literally, I mean, I really feel DeGrasse Tyson is maybe a 5, and that dude is like a -2, basically. And the whole reason why he exists is because he's an influencer, basically. And basically that means is the rich are paying him to influence everybody else to think he is someone smart, when in reality he's a -2, so he makes you stupider watching him. Same thing with DeGrasse Tyson. He's only a 5, so he can be an influencer to keep you stupider than that. Oh, and that's also what I wanted to bring up, by the way. I wrote this down because I don't want to interrupt. But the term scientist, it actually doesn't mean anything. Like, in the entry level world and basic world, pretty much, like, there's directions you can go. And like, you can be a scientist or a care breeder or a pharmacist or a technician or whatever, right? There are directions you can go, but like, for example, like, I a friend of mine, uh, you can consider yourself a technician, but he's a pharmacist, but he's really good at computers and he can do exactly what a technician can do, but a technician can do, but he's a pharmacist, basically. So as he gets older, and guess what? He's really good at a golfing tour or something. The point is that once you get older, these titles they don't mean as much because even though Neil deGrasse Tyson is a scientist, what you're talking to him about isn't what he's good in or at. So it's like it's invalid, basically. And in reality, that's kind of what they do. Is they try to take the word from Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is a scientist, right? But he's a scientist of space who is talking about like something he's not a scientist for, basically. And it's like, dude, you have no say because you're not a scientist or you're not a healthcare worker. You're nothing. Like, who cares? That's why I say he's a 5 because it's his opinion that really doesn't matter. But what's crazy is the fact that his opinion being just this was still leagues above the other guy. Where is it? Apparently another video popped up. There you go. Patrick Bet David, right? So, as much as Patrick knew Neil deGrasse Tyson being a physicist, astrophysicist, I should say, still knew more, even though the two fields, or his field, has nothing to do with what they're talking about. His specialty is about something completely unrelated. But we're talking to him like he's the specialist. And the reason why you're doing that is because you're trying to pick apart and make your bullshit seem valid. Because, oh look, Neil deGrasse Tyson is a specialist and he fell apart, so that means I win. And you're hoping that people are stupid enough to be like, well, okay, yeah, you're right. And not smart enough to be like, well, he's an astrophysicist. Of course, what you said is going to mean more because that's not his topic. And you're talking about something like they shouldn't have had the convo. Neil deGrasse Tyson and Patrick Bet David, they shouldn't have talked, basically, at all. Like, they just know there is nothing in there. There's an agenda and a motive behind Patrick, and Neil has nothing to offer anybody there at all, basically. And I may not be the fighter or person you turn to, but I would be the person you would talk to about it because I could point you in the direction where you would encounter someone who would know more than Neil deGrasse Tyson would, for example. But yeah, that's all I want to say. So I hope you took a lot from this. I hope you take a lot out of this. I hope you learned a bit or two about this topic. But I'm out here, so be well, be happy, be safe, and peace.